Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Happy Monday, folks, and it's not all that happy of a Monday in America, is it? I say that out of habit. As luck would have it, and not luck at all, bad luck. But Jessica, my gosh, man, what do I call you all the time? Producer extraordinaire. Jessica lives in Orlando. Lots going on in Orlando since we last did a show, and I was primed. I was primed to ask Jessica if she had ever been to this club, the Paul's Club in Orlando, and B, maybe even worse, knew someone who might have been killed there. And gosh, man, tell me about it.
Well, the answer is yes to both. I don't go to the clubs that frequently anymore anyways, but I have been to that club, I guess, like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, my friend was actually the first person that they named
Wow.
in the victim list. Yeah.
What, I mean, I'd rather listen to you talk than flap my gums, but I mean, like what's been going through your head ever since you learned that?
Well, it's been a roller coaster of emotions, I guess is what we can say. I woke up to a bunch of people texting me and messaging me and asking me if I was okay and not really understanding what that was about until I saw some articles and stuff, and then it went from that to checking if my other friends were okay, and then basically terror when we couldn't find Eddie, and everybody was trying to contact him, and everything, and then ultimately around 5 or 6 o'clock is when they revealed that he was not at any of the hospitals and he actually died in the club.
Yeah, and you know what, and maybe we should not do this, but this is just my gut. I mean, explain to the folks that you have friends in that community, like the drag queen thing and a whole bit, and which is not to suggest that you are gay, and there would be nothing wrong with it if you were. But I've talked about this for a long time. I mean, I know your closeness to that community, and I'm not. I respect that, but man, the emotion, huh?
Yeah, it's been it's weird because like today it's been like yesterday I was just numb. Everything was numb. Like I couldn't it was really hard to process everything. I did
Mm-hmm.
go to one of the blood banks, but I ended up not being able to give blood because my iron was too low. Um, and I didn't try again today because it's just been crazy. But today, it's like it's everything hurts, but at the same time, it's you still kind of feel numb. So it's a very strange feeling. Not as surreal as yesterday. It's more real today than yesterday. I just felt like, oh my god, when is this nightmare gonna be over? It's not a real thing, right? This can't be today. And now it's just kind of sinking in.
Speaking of the blood banks, and I think, in fact, I referenced this in an article I wrote yesterday on Independent Journal Review, but One Blood appears to be I don't know if it's a major blood bank or a coordinator or whatever of blood banks, but I understand that they still, whoever they are, and maybe in the country, not just Orlando or Florida, but still do not accept blood from gays. And I would have suspected, had I not known better yesterday, that various whatever screening techniques and stuff would have eliminated that a long time ago. Do you know what that's all about?
Well, that's actually one of the. I mean, it's interesting how this issue comes up because that's something that the gay community has been fighting for a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah, and they have and like there was an article in like December, around December, saying that they were lifting this ban,
yeah.
and then I actually don't know if they did or didn't because I've been hearing conflicting reports on that. I've been hearing people that say that they have been able to give blood,
Okay.
and there's been posts saying like that one blood is accepting all blood, but there's other people that are saying, "Oh, I just got turned away." So I don't know
See,
what to believe there.
yeah, because you would think that newer like blood panels and stuff would be able to identify or whatever. But you know what,
Well,
man?
they
I
always
saw
do
the
screen it.
go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
they always do screen the blood regardless of
Yeah,
who
yeah.
donates. So I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, the whole hysteria about AIDS has been gone for a long time, and but anyway, to the credit of the people in Orlando, and I'm guessing the surrounding community, probably far surrounding community, I've seen pictures of the long lines of people donating blood.
Yeah, there's been huge lines. um, Especially around the area where the hospitals are and everything like that. And right by the club where the club is. There's those have been the biggest lines. I actually went here in Kissimmee and there was a line, but it wasn't nearly as bad as that. Um, but yeah, but they started like testing people. Just I mean, they always test the blood and
Yeah,
they
yeah, well, of
see.
everyone, right?
Yeah, they test the blood of everyone. I mean, they go through the question process, which they do ask that question of have you had sex with men who sleep with men, or if you are a
Yeah,
man, like
yeah.
do you sleep with men? Like, so they still ask the question, so that's why I was like I'm not sure if they are turning those people away or not.
Yeah, I had not seen the conflicting reports, and I'm glad that at least you've seen some that suggest that they do accept blood from gay men. I had only seen the ones that said they do not, and I would think we would be beyond that. Tell me a bit about Paul's, the nightclub for LGBTQ people, the area and the whole bit. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Pulse is like in downtown Orlando, area. It's one of the younger clubs. I want to say like, normally I feel like the group that's there is like early 20s.
Well, and
Um,
as you see, sorry to interrupt you, but as you see the list ever expand of those who were unfortunately killed, they all seem to be young people, the majority of them.
yes. Um, I grew up actually going to a place called Firestone and Parliament House. So, which they had a vigil at Parliament House yesterday. But the Pulse was one of the newer ones, and I hadn't been there since like a lot because I was living
Hmm.
in Gainesville. But also, yeah, so they have a younger group from my understanding, and I've been there a few times. Well, I've been there like one time really. I think I was there another time, but I don't really remember if that's the place I went or not. But they had last night was actually like not last night. The night that everything happened was like Latin night.
Hmm.
They had
Yes,
their
yes.
different, yeah. So they had that going on. Um, and the thing is like I feel like um it's not the club's fault or anything. It's just that I mean the guy really knew the target that he was picking because
Sure. And we probably will never know if he had, as they say, cased the joint previously, right? To find out if he could go in there and do what he did.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, I feel like most nightclubs are set up where it's like there's really not a good place to be in, like, to leave or to get
Hmm.
in other than one entrance and exit. But that one is like, I mean, it's like the doorway is, once you're in there, I mean, it's really hard to find the exit anyways. And like, I mean, from the back exit, and it's usually blocked off because, I mean, it's a very like small inside club. And so I can see how he was able to get that many people that quickly.
And we hear, man, we've heard reports various times from particularly fires in Europe, right, where lots of people were burned to death, and there was only one exit to get out, and they couldn't. So I have heard, speaking, you mentioned conflicting reports as it relates to blood, the blood drive, but conflicting reports that there was only one exit to get out of this place, and that the gunman, and we will not mention his name, and I love it when people refuse to do that because he's scum. But various conflicting reports that he blocked the entrance and stood there,
Yeah.
and I also saw, Jessica, where this was earlier this afternoon, that maybe some of the survivors, and I do not know how this would happen, and I only say it because I read it, blocked the only other exit. So we don't know what's true about that right now, do we?
No, I did hear yesterday some of the people that they were interviewing, which I can totally see this happening too, which is actually kind of the sad part, is that because everybody was getting shot there and everybody's trying to go through
The
this
panic
one
and the
exit.
horror.
Yeah, it's just basically a stampede trying to get out the door. So there and so there was I can definitely, this guy was saying that people were stepping on top of each other trying to get out that one exit where they could get out.
And you know what I hate, uh, almost with anything. Well, probably with anything. I hate the whole Monday morning quarterback and stuff, right?
Mhm.
But the just unbelievable horror, just like at Baclacan. Was it Baclacan? That's what it's called in Paris? Um, I mean, these are people having fun, right? They're listening to music,
Yeah.
and you've seen the clips of people in this club, survivors, who've said that we thought it was part of the show, right? We've heard that multiple times in the past, only for them to realize that it was not part of the show. And then they saw people killed in front of them, they saw pools of blood, and they saw people, in this case, shredded, and I'm quoting, shredded by a semi automatic weapon. How can you? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's it's been a very, like I said, it's been very emotional. The yeah, it's so many people all together in a tiny place, and I mean it's just
And trapped in that
trapped.
tiny
They
place.
were trapped, and it was in the scariest part to me when I was thinking about it, was that they were stuck in there for 3 hours. I mean,
See, that's what I thought about that too, because as luck would have it, and again, the word luck is probably misappropriated, but as you and I both know, we each have a tendency sometimes not to sleep at night, right?
yeah,
So I was awake, and I was just randomly, because I mean, I'm watching TV low, so my don't wake my wife up, and then I'm like, kind of um, to flipping back and forth to my cell phone, to the iPhone, and I start to see these reports,
hmm,
right? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh! And then as it played out, it was just phenomenal. And then so I was kind of also surprised that the initial death toll report went from 20 to 50. Although, let's clarify for the folks that as of now, there are 49 confirmed killed, and the officials have said, rightly so, that 50th person was a shooter, and he should not be considered to be a quote victim.
exactly. I agree with that, 100%. Um, there's 53 other people in the hospital right now. That we're hoping that we don't lose anybody else.
And we're starting to see there was a well respected nurse in that club that saved the life of someone. And we're going to hear stories like this coming out, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, actually, Eddie, according to what we know of what happened, the eerie thing about it was that he actually sent um, a Snapchat to one of his friends that they ended up posting on social media when they were looking for him about 20 minutes before we know that the gunman ran in.
Oh,
So,
man.
and then he was able to get his boyfriend out, and from just basically from what we've been able to ascertain from just right now is he got shot in the back also trying to get out.
Speaking of which, and I'm going to jump ahead, then we're going to back up and play a couple of clips. But I put a and I always hate it when I say this because it sounds like I'm pimping myself, and I guess I am fond of doing that from time to time. This is a different deal, but I put up a post yesterday on Independent Journal Review about this very thing about people messaging or Snapchatting or whatever. This thing's almost up to 1 million views. And let me read you the headline: "The final anguishing text." And this thing has gone viral, not just from me, but throughout social media. "The final anguishing texts a son sends his mom while trapped in mass shooting at Orlando nightclub." Have you seen this?
I have seen that. That's heart wrenching.
It's heart wrenching.
And
Almost a million views, and I love that, but I don't love what it's about.
mhm.
So, um, so as the horror unfolds, and when I wrote this, I said one of the possible victims, and we've now learned that he was, sent an absolutely seriously chilling text message to his mother. And in the article, I include screenshots from this. The first one I have in here: "Mommy, I love you.
Mhm.
In club, they shooting." And she says, "You okay?" And he says, "Trap in bathroom." She says, "What club?" He says, "Paul's downtown. Call police." This is the worst part, man. He goes, "I'm gonna die." And then the last text sequence posted is, and this is the mother: "I'm calling them now. You still there? Answer our damn phone. Call them." She never heard back from him.
Yeah, that was a lot of this people been going through. Um, I mean we were all trying to contact Eddie, um,
Jeez, man. Gosh.
and I wasn't like I was friends with him. I wasn't like we were best friends that talked every day, but I talked to him from time to
But you
time.
know what? I just had a gut feeling, and I told my wife. I said, like, Jessica lives in Orlando. I said she knows people in that community. I would not be surprised if mostly she has not been there, and maybe secondly, maybe on a lesser note, that she did not know someone who was killed.
Yeah, and the thing and the scary thing is I actually had talked to my friend the other day, like on like Thursday or something. And she was just like, "Oh, we should go to that club. They have this going on this night." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like fun." Like I could have very easily been there, which I mean,
Yeah, that was actually my initial thought, but um, I think early that morning. I mean, again, I was up all night. I saw that, and then that wasn't why I was up. But then you sent me a Facebook message, and I thought, okay, she wasn't there. But that
mhm.
that crossed my mind, like, oh my God, Jessica could have been there.
Yeah, I could have. I mean, I very easily, and I mean, any other time I probably would have. That's the reality of the situation. And I'm not and the thing is I feel kind of bad saying that because it's like there are people that actually were there and lost their lives and stuff, but it
No, you
does
don't need to feel
scare
bad for it. You know,
it
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 just
does scare you. I mean, it's very scary. And then, like but immediately like that feeling went away from me when we were like, okay, nobody's heard from Eddie. Everybody's trying to contact him and we don't think he's in the hospital and and when they were reading the names at the hospital and his name wasn't coming up and
yeah.
it was and it was just I don't know. I don't
Almost
know what to
surrealistic,
say.
right?
It very surreal. The whole thing was surreal.
You know
Even
what?
when
Go ahead,
we
Matt.
saw
Go ahead, Matt.
his
I'm
name,
sorry.
yeah, even when we saw his name and everything, I I still was like, no, 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 maybe it's a different Edward.
So how old was Eddie?
He's 34.
One of the older ones.
Yeah, he was one of the older ones. He's 34. Um, he works for the company that I go on the cruises with.
Right.
So, that, well, he worked, and it's hard. It's still hard to like change the tense. Um, and
I know.
so it was, and so like everybody was, immediately like trying to get the word out. Has anybody seen this person? We were hoping that at worst he was just, at the hospital, but he was passed out, so they hadn't been able to identify him. And then when that was all taken away, it's just like getting punched in the gut.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I was just like, at first, I just could not breathe.
Well, because it's just again, we said the word surrealistic. Okay, so we got to get to the politics of it, because removed from you and your personal experience and others who we grieve for, it is what it is, and I hate that saying, but it is what it is. Because we have Barack Obama, we have Hillary Clinton, we have Donald Trump, we have everybody trying to make political hay out of this. And
Hmm.
and again, Barack Obama, whether it's Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, or wherever, he tries to make political hay out of it.
Hmm.
And we have a clip, but oh man, this guy just he cannot be gone fast enough. This is from when is this from? This is from today, um, about 1 o'clock, so Eastern time, so about 3.5 hours ago, or whatever. It's from NBC Politics. Quote: Obama. Well, Obama quote: We need to do some soul searching after massacre. President Obama talks to reporters in the Oval Office, meeting with his national security team about the Orlando massacre on Monday. The massacre, obviously not on Monday, but him talking on Monday. Let's listen to this clip.
The one thing that we can say is that this is being treated as a terrorist investigation. It appears that the shooter was inspired by various extremist information that was disseminated over the internet. All those materials are currently being searched, exploited, so we will have a better sense of the pathway that the killer took in making a decision to launch this attack. As Director Comey, I think, will indicate, at this stage we see no clear evidence that he was directed externally. It does appear that at the last minute he announced allegiance to ISIL, but there is no evidence so far that he was in fact directed by ISIL, and there also at this stage is no direct evidence that he was part of a larger plot. In that sense, it appears to be similar to what we saw in San Bernardino, but we don't yet know. And this is part of what is going to be important in terms of the investigation.
Isn't that exactly what this bastard always does, right? He appears to be inspired by extremist information disseminated on the internet, but that was but the attack was not, quote, part of a larger plot, I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Well,
I'm sorry, but he contradicts himself because he is so loath to conflate anything with Islam, and I mean Islam, radical Islam, right? I'm not sure where I come down on the whole, like, all of Islam is responsible for this stuff. I think that a whole bunch of Islam, and I mean tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Muslims, just kind of be quiet so that they're not going to be attacked or whatever have you. But Jessica, this is what he does. He goes out of his way to make sure that we don't conflate the two.
That's true. Honestly, I mean, but the thing is, I guess, I don't know, sadly come to expect something like that from him just based on,
Of
the other
course.
things that's happened. Actually, the thing that affected me the most yesterday was before we knew anything, before we knew that it was not 20, but, 49 people that
Yeah.
were already dead. Um, was when they had the police, actually two things. They immediately had the imam come out and say, we need to come together as a community, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then the guy right after, which I think was the FBI person, was saying, well, we can't say that this was an Islamic attack, extremist attack yet. And I was like, then why did
You know
you
what? Yeah,
couch
it's
that
screw off.
right
You know
after
what?
this guy
Screw
said that?
off, right?
Yeah, like why did you couch that having this guy talk before you did? And then the second part was the media itself, before they had even mentioned any numbers, saying, is this the greatest mass shooting ever? Is it like five or six reporters asking the same question?
Because that's headlines, right? And they
It,
love that crap.
well, that's exactly it. But that's the part that I was like, I mean, I feel like there's more important questions to be asking at this moment. It was like 10 in the morning at that point. I'm like, and that was before I even knew anything. I just was like, sick by that.
So AP says this was yesterday. Was that? No, this was this morning. AP breaking. Obama says no clear evidence Orlando shooter was directed or part of a larger plot. And then they tweet how much longer? Just over an hour. FBI chief Comey. Orlando gunman had, quote, strong indications of radicalization. Quote, again, potential inspiration by foreign terrorist organizations. As I wrote in this article on IJR, like to paraphrase Hillary, what the hell difference does it make? Barack Obama has throughout this stuff, you go back to, you mentioned San Bernardino. I mean, throughout this stuff has often blamed, quote, lone wolf actors for terrorist attacks, right? But this is what he does. He goes out of his way to, and Hillary Clinton, oh my God, we're going to do this after the break. Hillary Clinton, same thing. They go out of their way to defend Islam, the, quote, peaceful religion. And I'm sorry, man. I think the American people are getting over it. And I think, and I hate to say it, well, do I? But I think Donald Trump comes out of this thing looking. We're going to talk about him after the break, but comes out of this thing looking pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean,
I know, and I hate to say
when
that.
he went, other than when, the part that bugged me about what he was like, oh, I was, it shows that I'm right about this, and I'm
Well,
like, dude,
and
really?
I'm going to hammer him when we come back. No, he just congrats and the whole bit. No, he sucks too. But the whole thing about, and I read something early this morning that Obama, and this is probably, I don't know when it happened, but has kind of reaffirmed, has reaffirmed that there will be at least 100 Syrians coming into this country a day. So I don't know.
I don't know either.
Let me ask you this, because we got a couple of minutes left or one?
About a minute, yeah.
So what is your, crap. Should we break and then come back and let me ask you this? Because I really want your take on whether you think that this club would have been targeted were it not a LGBTQ club, if the shooter found a more convenient target. You want to talk about that when we come back?
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
All right, let's go ahead and break. This is the Mike Miller Show with my buddy, man, Jessica Jane. We'll be right back.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you.
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250, say keyword Liberty University.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Welcome back to the Mike Miller Show, y'all. It is a sad Monday. I mean, after a couple of different sad events happening in Orlando, Florida, we will talk about the previous one to what happened at the Pulse nightclub in a second. But as luck and as bad luck would have it, as we said in the first block, Jessica, a friend, killed her, and I just can't even imagine it. So I was asking you, we kind of tossed it back and forth before the break. I am of the belief that had not a predominantly gay nightclub been opportune, shall we say, I don't know a better word to use, that this guy, this Muslim, the radicalized Islamist, whose name we shall not mention on the show, would have picked another target that was equally or maybe more so opportune. I'm not sure that it was just targeted at gays, and I could be wrong. What's your take on that?
I think he was targeting gays, but I think he chose the specific location because, and I mean, I feel like he must have gone there before because of the way that it is set up, and it is a smaller
They said
place.
he would, I mean, they being officials said he was extremely well organized and seemed to know what he was doing.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think when I think of like if he would have gone to Parliament House, I feel like there's multiple rooms in Parliament House. It's a huge club, and there's also multiple exits. So I feel like he did target this place, because I think he knew that he would be able to get the most people in there.
Yeah.
Which is just like it really
Trapped.
Yeah, the most like the easiest way to trap that many people. I will agree with you to a certain extent that I don't think that he was necessarily, like, he was definitely targeting gays, but he was not. I mean, I feel like if it would have been, another event or something like that where there was just a bunch of people in a very small area, I think he still would have gone for it. Because,
if that was his only other option, yeah.
Yeah, because I think if he was just targeting gays to target gays, he would have been here last weekend.
Let's go
During
ahead
gay
and
days.
let's go ahead and say what we said during the break. I guess what I said during the break, and I have no official source or whatever for this, but as I was bouncing around this morning, I saw that I saw somewhere, and we're not a news media outlet here. We are an opinion show, so I can say it, that he maybe had fears, maybe that's too strong of a word or whatever, that he had homosexual tendencies. And as a result, it was even more reason to target the gay community, right?
I have seen people say that, but I've also seen people say that more generally. Whenever anybody is
Exactly, generally. Go ahead. I'm
super,
sorry. Yeah, make that point.
whenever anybody is super anti-gay, it's the whole doth protest too much kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like, why are you getting so upset about, somebody just said you were gay and you want to punch them now? And those act, and a lot of the times it turns out to be the case where the person that is, attacking it the most ends up being just that.
Yeah. Gosh. All right. So we did Obama. As one might expect, Hillary also weighed in on this thing. And let me back up. Barack Obama. I put up an article on IJR when the White House first posted on the White House website the official comment. And of course, there was no mention of terrorism or anything else. But so Hillary Clinton has come out. And so we have a clip from her. And I would suspect that those of you who are not pantsuit fans would bristle at this as well as I have. Let's listen to Hillary's comments.
The communities here, whether it was the long lines of those looking to give blood, those coming out this morning to support those who were victimized in one way or another, Americans respond. And I think what we see in these situations is demanding the same of leadership. One of the criticisms in these situations is that President Obama won't use the words radical Islamic terror, that it seems to be either a fear or a protective instinct about blaming the religion. You are now coming under scrutiny about what you will call this, what this means to leadership. Do you believe that this is radical Islamism or radical Islamic terror? Will you use those words, and if not, why?
Well, first of all, from my perspective, it matters what we do more than what we say. And, it mattered we got bin Laden, not what name we called him. And I have clearly said that we face terrorist enemies who use Islam to justify slaughtering innocent people. And, whether you call it radical jihadism, radical Islamism, I think they mean the same thing. I'm happy to say either. But what I won't do, because I think it is dangerous for our efforts to defeat this threat, is to and demagogue and declare war on an entire religion. That plays right into ISIS's hands. So this is something that we can call it radical jihadism, we can call it radical Islamism, but we also want to reach out to the vast majority of American Muslims and Muslims around this world to help us defeat this threat, which is so evil and is got to be denounced by everyone, regardless of religion.
This drives me effing, I never say that word. I know we're not FCC, but that drives me effing crazy every time the left says this, right? They race to defend the, quote, religion of peace trademark. This is not about Islam. These people, and what did she say twice in that clip? Whether we call it radical jihadism or radical Islam, I'm not afraid to see either term. Well, sure she is. She never does, and neither does Barack Obama. But they race to defend Islam every freaking time one of these attacks occurs, be it the latest two, Orlando or San Bernardino. Do they not, Jessica?
It's true. Everything has to be couched. We've seen this several times, and I mean, and the sad part is that I just expect this from politicians at this point. It's just that they, want to make everybody happy.
You know what? But it's when you say politicians, I mean, as it relates to this issue, it's politicians on the left. It's the left who they again, man, they just rush to defend Islam. I put up this is earlier this morning, just an image. You know how I do this on Facebook. A picture of LGBT people in, I don't know even where the hell this was. It's an image, and the sign they're carrying, and they have like, the rainbow colors and orange and the whole rainbow color hair. And the banner they're carrying, this is apparently in a parade, maybe in San Francisco yesterday or whenever that was, LGBT against Islamophobia. I say no to Islamophobia. I say no to racism and fascism. I say yes to equality and diversity. Can you imagine how long these people would last if they carried this banner down the street in Saudi Arabia somewhere or Iran, not to mention Fallujah?
Yeah, exactly.
Their asses would be rounded up and hung or beheaded immediately.
Oh yeah, and I mean, rocks thrown. If they
they
were
would be
women,
stoned
they'd be
to death.
raped.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yet
crazy.
they rail against conservatism in this country.
Yeah. And
Why?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, it's like immediately. Some of my friends
Immediately attack the right.
Well, I mean, really, but in the sense of, they were like, this is the fault of the NRA. I was like, no, this is the fault of
Oh my
the
God.
Islamic extremists that went in there to do things, pledging to ISIS. Whether he was a card-carrying member of ISIS or not, he pledged his allegiance to ISIS and did this for his ideology.
Obama spent more time attacking the Second Amendment, and again, this is fine. The second part is fine, but propping up the gay community, that part's fine. But Obama spent more time attacking the Second Amendment rights than he did Islamic terrorism, as has Hillary.
I agree. And like I was saying, yeah, my friend, like a lot of my friends are like, can we talk about gun laws now? Can we change this? Can we do this? I'm like, this, it's like you're seeing the house on fire and you're worried about where the guy got the matches. I mean, I don't
Bingo.
I don't understand this. And the thing is, and you can see that there's a lot of people that really don't understand that term assault rifle. I mean, because it's a very broad definition term. I mean, these guns, it's not like he had a fully automatic weapon and
Well,
was
first
just
of all,
spraying people.
make sure people understand, automatic weapons are outlawed in this country, and the term assault rifle is a misnomer because you can change the packaging of a deer rifle and make it look more like something Rambo would carry around and call it an assault rifle.
Exactly. That was the point I was gonna make. You change, the color of it. The definition is so ridiculous for assault rifle that you change the color of the gun and it goes from being a hunting gun to an assault rifle.
And put a scarier looking clip on it and everything else.
You don't even have
people,
to do
please
that.
understand this whole, and Seth Meyers, and this is an article I'm going to write later, but Seth Meyers, is that his name?
A guy that was on SNL before.
Yeah, and he what's he do? Family Guy or whatever.
Oh no, Seth.
not Seth Meyers,
McFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane, yeah. He comes out and says, simple solution, outlaw automatic weapons. And he tweeted this yesterday, outlaw automatic weapons in America. How stupid can you be?
People do not understand. Yeah, they don't understand. They don't have a concept of what guns are. I will be completely honest. I didn't understand guns as well as I do now until I actually took a lesson. A lot of people hear a lot of things about guns and they just believe it. And I was one of those people at one point. So so I can see how people are like, look, we just need to ban this. We just need to stop this.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this. But the other point that I was going to make about this is that he also had 2 handguns that he was using to shoot people.
Yep.
Are you going to outlaw the
And
handguns
a
too?
semi-automatic handgun.
Yeah, two. See, I know,
Yeah. And a suicide vest and multiple cartridges to reload. Does anybody in their right mind believe that if this guy had not carried a pretend, quote, assault rifle into Pulse, that he would have said, you know what, God, I can't get a hold of one of those, so like I'm not going to do this, right? I mean, come on, people.
Yeah. Now, the better point that I think that they should have made, and where I would have actually agreed with my friends, was how is this a person who has been on an FBI watch list, not come up in a background check at all? That is an actual very valid point.
And you know what? McFarlane made that point. And you know what? That part bothers me.
It's a very valid point. They've been watching this guy for a long time. They never,
at least 2 years.
Yeah, and they didn't have anything conclusive, but there was definitely a lot of red flags.
They've interviewed the guy twice, if not 3 times.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry, but they've, the government has, detained people for far less than this, and this guy was, allowed to get 2 handguns and completely pass a background check.
All right, so taking the Second Amendment into account, and then lunatics like this, and he just bought these guns days before, right? The attack.
Yes.
What's the medium? What's a happy medium?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
It's obviously it's not working. There's definitely problems, and it does bother me that somebody who, is having all these, very big red flags, is still able to do this, but at the same time, you don't want to infringe on people's rights. So
yeah,
it's very
I
hard
think
to
it
straddle
goes
that
back
line.
to, and the same thing with the Sandy Hook shooter. His mother legally bought the weapon or weapons, right? This guy legally bought the guns. But if you look back at Sandy Hook, you look at his psychological evaluations, you look at this guy and the FBI interrogations and red flags and stuff, I still, in my heart of hearts, I gotta think that there's stuff other than, as Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton say, let's just outlaw assault weapons and all will be fine. And assault weapon, again, in quotes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that definition has to get a lot more concise before I'd ever be okay with what they're saying.
Well, it doesn't exist, but and definitely Seth MacFarlane. Yes, we outlawed. I don't know how long ago, but automatic weapons in this country. We have to get to Trump. Obviously, You know how much I love Trump.
Yep.
Man, I get beat to death still on Donald Trump. And you know what? Gosh, I got to think that this is, again, I think I said it earlier, this is an example of something that's going to help this guy, right? Whenever he says something stupid, it tends to help him with the Trump-a-loompas. And I'm sorry, because we're trying to get audience, and I should not call them that. Let's just call them the Trump supporters. So I can't even believe this. I think I don't know that I sent this to you. So I put this up earlier today. So he tweets out yesterday a message about this shooting, and the media kind of picked up on it. That raised a couple of questions. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay, so this guy can do anything and get away with it. It's almost like Bill Clinton, only stupider. But so he tweets out this message yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday. Here, it's plagiarized. I mean, you can't deny it. So here's what Trump tweeted. This was yesterday at 2:52 p.m. Reporting that, this is verbatim, reporting that Orlando killer shouted, quote, "Allahu Akbar," as he slaughtered clubgoers. Second man arrested in L.A. with rifles near gay parade. All right, so we have that.
Mm-hmm.
About less than an hour earlier, Sebastian Gorkin, who, by the way, former Breitbart editor, who was reportedly paid $8,000 by the Trump campaign for, quote, policy editing, tweeted this. Reports coming in. Orlando killer shouted Allahu Akbar as he slaughtered clubgoers. Second man arrested in L.A. with rifles near gay parade. Okay, so let's back up the bus. If you delete Trump's tweet saying reporting that, and Gorka's tweet, delete reports coming in, the whole quote, Orlando killer shouted Allahu Akbar as he slaughtered clubgoers, second man arrested in L.A. with rifles near gay parade, is verbatim. Jessica, what are the chances of him not lifting that?
Slim to none.
Given particularly that this guy, Mr. Gorka, was paid by the Trump campaign for policy consulting.
Exactly.
So that was jumped all over by the media, CNN and others. But then, like I looked into this further while I was writing this article. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump yesterday, and I know this will shock the crap out of you, but he sent out a lot of other tweets that were, shall we say, a bit self-congratulatory. I know that shocks you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, here's one of them. Appreciate the congrats for being right on radical Islamic terrorism. I don't want congrats. Of course he does, or he wouldn't have mentioned it. I want toughness and vigilance. We must be smart. Here's another. Thank you at Jake Tapper for giving me credit for my vision on bombing the oil fields. Should have done so long ago. Another. They laughed at me when I said to bomb the ISIS-controlled oil fields. Now they are laughing and doing what I said. That one is back for both of those. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. Those are from late 2015. Here's another one from earlier this year. I have proven to be far more correct about terrorism than anybody, and it's not even close. Hopefully Arizona and Utah will be voting for me today. Another one from earlier this year. Watch this clip from earlier this year. Time and time again, I have been right about terrorism. It's time to get tough. Twitter fired back at the Donald yesterday, Jessica.
Yeah, I did see some of that, and Facebook too. Facebook is like.
Yeah, here's one of them. And congrats on being the biggest dirtbag on the internet and in life. Another, I want to quit / bash everything in sight after seeing a presidential nominee tweet that. Effing A. Another one, nice to use tragedy and loss of life to score political points. Classy. Another, wow, you're a piece of work. Literally a Team America caricature. I like that. Another one, oh, yes, congrats, Donald. 50 people dead. Where do you send the champagne, asshole? Incidentally, that initial tweet, and this was kind of the gist of the post I put up about going viral. That initial tweet about, again from yesterday, reporting that, about him getting congrats. That initial tweet, as of when I wrote this article, over 26,000 retweets. So this guy cannot help himself, in my humble opinion.
He clearly cannot. When I saw that, I was like, it was just one of those facepalm moments. I was like, really, man? Like, I can't. And then, Hillary was like, didn't skip a beat in saying, the gun reform thing. So I was just like,
They don't miss a beat.
Yeah, face palms all around. And, politicians being politicians, and, it's crazy.
You know what? But, gosh, I always say I shouldn't do this because we're trying to attract listeners. But I honestly think sociopathic is probably too strong a word. But Donald Trump has an insecurity issue, in my humble opinion, and I'm not a psychologist, nor do I play one on television, but I just this guy has this penchant, this obsession with having to always point out to people how smart he is, how right he is, how he's never wrong, how he said this when nobody else did. Do you get that?
Yes, sometimes more than others. Sometimes I think he's actually, like very impressed with himself. And other times I think he's saying it to affirm it to himself. For sure.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I think to an extent it's one and the same, but he always like, I'm very smart. I'm very smart. I have a very big brain, right? I went to the best school in the country. I'm brilliant. But you know what? Like most people that are or did, they don't have to say that, do they?
Yeah, there was actually it was on the Walking Dead. One of the guys was talking about how scary he was and how he murders people, and and how people beg him to stop because he's so crazy. And the other guy just looks at him. He's like, you know what? I've known a lot of scary people in my time, and none of them have to tell me how scary they are.
Yeah. See, we only have a couple of minutes, but and of course I didn't get to like 82 things I wanted to cover, but you know who Sean King is?
It sounds familiar. I'm not.
He's the guy. I think he's like the head of Black Lives Matter. He's white.
Oh,
he's
okay.
like
Yeah.
he's like
Yep.
yeah. He's the guy version of Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah. I remember him now.
He has a solution.
Oh Lord, what is
He
his
does.
solution?
Here's a tweet from Sean. And you look at him, he looks less black than she does. But here's his tweet from yesterday actually. We would cut mass shootings down by over 75% if our nation banned all white men from this country. Wonder why nobody calls for that. I think that would mean he would be banned as well, wouldn't it?
I think so. I don't know. I don't understand people. I don't understand craziness right now. I mean, it's
craziness is out of control. And again, man, as we end the show, gosh, my condolences, because I thought about you immediately because I know you live there, and I figured you maybe knew some of those people. Wasn't sure, but thought that you maybe did. Said the same to my wife, and thought you may have been there and maybe had some fun times. So, man.
Yeah.
Sad few days. Not to mention, give us a minute. We'll go over a minute. But 24 hours or a little bit more before, less than 4 miles away, Voice star Christina Grimmie murdered.
Yeah, I mean, I had just been reading about that because it had just happened the night before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this happened, and I mean, I was honestly, I was scared something was going to happen last night too.
And who would it? Gosh, who does that? somebody I listen to all the time goes, I hate that. But I'm kind of like stupid, and my wife and I watch The Voice and Idol, and was way familiar with her from that season, and such a young talent, 22 or whatever. And man, just like life is crazy right now, but we'll get past it, will we not? I hope.
I hope so. I hope things change for the better.
Me too, man. I love you. We will be back on Wednesday. This is the Mike Miller Show with Jessica Jane. Y'all, thanks for listening, and please tell your friends. Bye-bye.